Good evening. I'm Patricia Chin, principal at Hickory Woods Elementary and co-chair of the Walled Lake Parenting Education Team. On behalf of our parenting education team and our partners at Lakes Area Community Coalition, welcome to our Wellness Wednesday webinars. Tonight's topic is Raising Readers. Our presenter this evening is Maria Dismondy, local author, teacher, public speaker, school advocate, and mom. As an author, Maria has penned 10 books that feature stories with topics ranging from anti-bullying to overcoming adversity to friendship trials and tribulations and beyond. Maria is dedicated to empowering those around her through these various roles. She's intentional about making each day count, and she lives right here in Walled Lake with her family. So thank you, Maria, for spending your time with us on this important topic tonight. Before we get started, though, I have a few quick housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded and will be available through the Walled Lake Schools and Lakes Area Community Coalition websites, as well as linked in our district weekly updates. The chat function is disabled for this meeting, but if you have any questions, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A feature, which looks like two thought bubbles with the letters Q&A over it. If you open that Q&A feature, you simply type your question in the box and our panelists will respond either during the presentation or at the end. Thank you for choosing to spend your time with us for this important topic. And thank you, Maria, for being here with us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maria Dismondy, and thank you for that very nice introduction. I think the most important thing to point out in the introduction is that, yes, I am a parent in the district. I have 3 children myself, and I know that our lives are extremely busy. I run a business from home. My husband works full time. And I understand that as a parent, you're probably thinking, okay, there is just so much. How am I going to get my child to be a reader? So I have a program tonight, and it is not to overwhelm you. It is to empower you and to give you some tools that you can walk away with today and say, oh my goodness, I feel like I have a grasp, I have a handle on how I can instill a love of reading for my children. So let me go ahead and share my screen and get started. If you have any questions tonight, I'm happy to answer them. And here we go. All right. So you can see my program here. Let me hit play. It is kind of weird talking to like no one, kind of, right? So please know that the question and answer box is there and you can ask questions anytime. I don't really have to tell you who I am, but I do have to tell you that I am kind of a crazy parent because not only do we have 3 children and, you know, this crazy world that we've been in for the last year, we decided to get 2 puppies on top of everything. So we started with 1 and we thought, this is fun. This is a lot of love. And then we got a second puppy. And the day we brought the second puppy home, I ended up testing positive the next day for COVID, and all 5 of us tested positive. So it was a wild few weeks for our family. So I get it when you're sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, there is just so much. I totally get it. So you may recognize one of my books. All of my books are realistic fiction. And I just have to tell you, the reason I started writing is because I was a classroom teacher and I would use books to teach my children and my students specific concepts that might be hard to explain. So I would use them as mentor texts in the classroom to teach maybe a writing strategy. But also, if my students were having difficulty socially, I would use picture books to launch conversations and to indirectly teach them really important social skills. But what I found back in 2006 is there were very few realistic fiction stories. And so I decided to start writing. I wrote Spaghetti in a Hot Dog Bun. And so I think it's important that as I talk to you about reading, that reading doesn't just teach our children how to read words, how to sound out different sounds, how to become better writers. Reading is foundational in, first of all, every single subject. So if we want our children to be successful in any area of life, they need to know how to read and write. but it can also teach them so much. It opens the door to possibilities. And so part of what I do is I use my books now to teach children about social skills, essential life skills that there's research from Career Builder that's saying our students are lacking essential skills when they're exiting from college. And so I've taken those 7 skills and I am going around teaching those important skills, and books can do that. Tonight, I'm going to be giving away. So if you're hearing this, actually, if you're hearing it on a replay, if you want to reach out to me, I am happy to go ahead and give away a book to you. Just go ahead. You could email me or somehow find me on social media. But my book, Sunnyside Upbringing, is a month-by-month guide, and it talks about raising readers. So every month I give a list of books that you can get to read on different holidays or different things to celebrate, like National Teddy Bear, to make reading fun. So I'm happy to give that away. So parenting in 2020, we're in 2021 now. What changed, right? So not only were you parents in 2020, but for a little bit of time, you were parents and assistant teacher, right? So we had our wonderful teachers guiding us, but there was a lot more instruction happening at home. It was a year of disappointments. And so there was a lot of feelings happening, not only in yourself as a parent, but a lot of feelings happening with your children. Maybe they were missing school. Maybe they were missing their friends, or feeling the disappointments of a missed vacation, or feeling the disappointments of missed sports. So when we talk about reading, we have to think about the fact that, yes, our children need to be reading and writing in school, but we also want to look at their social emotional status and where they're at, emotionally. And reading is, I'm going to tell you how you can play a part into that emotional side with reading. So in order to grow a lifelong reader, first of all, we have to know that reading is everything. I told you it's a foundation of all subjects. So if our children are going to be taking a test in the future, they have to be able to really read and understand the content in order to perform well on a test. So one of the things I'll talk to you about today is high interest books. And that's where I'm talking about social emotional. So if your child is a reluctant reader and they don't want to pick up a book, try to tune into what makes them happy. What are things in their life that motivate them, that inspire them? So for example, I know more about hockey, dogs, cooking, and crafts than I have any time in my life. Because that's what my children have been interested in. I actually know a lot about trucks. I never wanted to know a lot about trucks, but we read the same truck books over and over again for many years with my son. So being able to pull what they're interested in and then read those books to them, because they're going to start to see, whoa, this book that I have on a tablet, or this book that I have in my hands from the library, it's giving me information on something I love and enjoy. I want you to know that there's different forms of reading, okay? You can read real books. You can see I have a lot of real books behind me, and the only reason we have a home library is because that's my job. I publish books, I write books, but I'm going to talk to you about the library and how you can get access to books in other ways. There are audio versions of books. So if you have a reluctant reader, you can have your family listening to stories in the car. And we'll go deeper into that. There's ebooks, so your children can be on a tablet reading ebooks. There are comic type of books, right? So there's graphic novels. It's not just a story. It's not just realistic fiction or historical fiction. We have something new called Vox books. So those are picture books that read to the children. And then this is kind of old school, but there's something called books on CD. And we don't really use CDs anymore, but from the library, you can get them. And they're called play along books. And they're like these little, I don't know if you can see my face right now, but I'll make sure to show this later. They said they're going to be phasing them out in the next few years, but until they do so, I actually have one I'm reading about leadership right now. They're called play-alongs, and you can check them out from the library. It's this little, it's the size of your hand, and you plug in your headphones and you can listen to an audiobook. And our kids walk around the house thinking they're so cool with this little thing in their pocket because they're listening to a book like their mom. there can be negativity around reading, and this could have been 4 slides, but I'm not perfect over here. There is some negativity around reading. So if you're coming to this class, if you're listening to this class, oftentimes it's because your children are reluctant readers. They don't want to be reading. And so we want to watch out, and we want to make sure that reading is not a consequence, because that can put negativity around it as well. When we're reading together, it will transform that negativity, because all humans have a need for connection. So if we try to take reading and make it a cozy family thing, or, one adult and one child, it's that one-on-one time, you can have that connection with your child, and you can put more positivity in it. But we really don't want to say, go to you're in trouble, you're going to go sit over here and read a book. It shouldn't be a negative consequence, okay? So that's an important thing. We're gonna watch this quick video. It's about 1 minute long, about why some children love reading.
I read because reading can take you places you can't go right here in real life. And because I love reading, and it's very fun.
Well, I read because it's a way to express your feelings. You can do anything in reading. There's no limit. So in cars, there's a speed limit. There's no limit in reading. You can't read for a certain amount of time. You can read however you want, unless you have to go to a birthday or anything.
Sometimes when I don't feel so good in my own life, I open up to learn about somebody else's life, so I can escape my own life and read when I'm really angry. Because sometimes when I have a lot of homework and I feel really stressed out, I open a book, and then I can feel really happy about other people, because they have so many awesome things, and it takes me to so many other places.
Because it brings you places, and it's really fun. It's a way to just relax and read, have fun after a long day at school or just on the weekends.
So there is actual research that says reading can reduce stress. And so 2 out of the 4 kids that you just saw said it helps me to calm down, it helps me to relax, it helps me to feel better, it takes you places. That in itself, all of us being home for a year, it can take you places. I mean, some families, we don't have the ability to be traveling around the world, but through children's literature, through, books, you can have that opportunity. All children have access to travel through books. So here are some considerations before we kind of go into the nitty gritty. It creates family togetherness. Once you're reading together, it can help with mental wellness. It can help children to calm down. One of our 3 children, she reads to help herself fall asleep. She has a hard time falling asleep, and it helps her to fall asleep. But when we're considering bringing in a reading routine into your family lifestyle, we want to talk about time management. So making a part of your routine is going to make it so that you don't have to worry about the time for it. So at our house, it is part of our bedtime routine. And so there's time for it because it's something we do. My kids brush their teeth every night, we hope. So it's part of that routine, right? So we're making it a part of our life. The other thing is we have taken out television time in the mornings when the kids were little and we were getting ready for work. We would put a basket of books right in the room while we're trying to get ready. And so we would do reading in the morning. So making it a part of the routine will help with the time management of it. And then the organization of it, I'm going to help you to feel somewhat organized so that you can make it part of your family's life. So books that teach, okay? So if your child is having a hard time with maybe a friendship, I want you to know that books can teach them those skills, like I had mentioned at the beginning. So it can teach them positive character, it can help them with difficult life situations. So at the very end, I'm gonna have you take your phone out, and I'm actually going to share, you'll take a screenshot of the QR code, and I'm going to share 101 books that teach. And they're all categorized. So they're categorized, here are 5 books that teach courage. Here are 10 books that teach, positive self-esteem. And the cool thing about the list I'm sending you is it's the name of the book, the author, and it's a link to the book being read on YouTube. So that's access for all right now. Okay, so how are we going to get books into your home? Because in order for you to grow readers, to raise these readers, you want to have access to books. Well, number one, the library is amazing. And during all of this 2020, the library actually has made it so nice to be able to get books. So if I were to give you that list and you said, oh, I don't want my kid reading these books on YouTube, I'm going to get them at the library. You could take those 6 books under, Courage. You could go onto your library website. You could easily type in the name. You put the book on hold, it takes your library card, and then you can go to the library, either go inside, pick those books up on the hold shelf, or you can actually do curbside pickup as well. So they make it so accessible to you to be able to drive up, have your kid get out of the car, pick the bag up on the table, and get in the car with 6 books on Courage. Another way that you can get books into the home is from the thrift store. And we have a beautiful Salvation Army right here in Walled Lake. And my kids get so excited when I take them there. I can give them $2 and they can get up to 20 books because most books are 10 cents from the thrift store. Garage sales are a great place to get books. Scholastic gives great deals. We just ordered a couple books on Scholastic, $2, $3, $4 books. And then number 5 is family hand-me-downs. So if you are on some type of social media, you could put on your Facebook, hey family, I don't know if you have little ones at home anymore, but if you've got any picture books, I have an elementary age, I have a kindergarten through 3rd grader, and we would love to grow our family library of picture books. So asking family and friends is another great way to get books in the home. Creating that routine that we talked about before bed is always a good time because it helps to calm children down. Another one is in the morning. Like I said, instead of television, I like to save that screen time for when I'm cooking dinner or when, I have to do something for work. And then in the car, a basket of books in the car, depending on what age your kids are, if they're a little bit older readers, hopefully they don't get motion sickness. Some kids do reading in the car. That's when you use the audio books. But you can have a basket of books in the car or have kids bring a little bag with them when you go on road trips. And we do that just going from here to there in Walled Lake. The kids have books in the car. Another one is after lunch. If you want your kids to kind of chill out a little bit, they can't do recess because it's too cold, you can grab that basket of books. Now, this is where I check the time and I tell you a really cool story. I met this dad and he said, I have my son, he just did not want to read. He did not want to read. He was a 3rd grader. He needed to read to improve his skills. And I just couldn't figure out what we were going to do. So the dad worked a full-time job and he worked in Southfield, which has a beautiful library. And so the dad on his lunch break would go to the library and get a bag of books that he thought his son might enjoy. He didn't say a word and he brought that bag of books into the house and he put the books in a basket in the family room. And for weeks, the books just sat there. He would return the books after 3 weeks and get another load and he still never said a word. He said it was a couple months until his son sat down one day and didn't say a word, started thumbing through the books and started reading them. And so, it might take some time, but the other thing is that routine of reading to your child, right? Okay. So if you have young children, you're going to be reading to them. And then, for example, we have a 1st grader right now. And so we take turns reading the book. So we read together. So 2 together. So you read to your child, you read with your child. And then sooner or later, your child is going to be reading all on their own. And when that happens, do you stop reading to them before bed? You don't have to. So my older girls, they love reading chapter books, but at bedtime, we still sit down with their younger brother and we'll read books together. So you don't have to stop reading to children. You can actually, have your child sit down and read a chapter and then have them tell you about it. So this routine of reading as a family doesn't have to end. And I'll tell you what, sometimes I have days where, my frustrations are high and my patience is low. And I will say, everybody, we're having a reading break. Everyone grab a book and we're all going to sit down quietly and we plop down on the couch and everybody has a book, including myself, and we're just chilling out. And that helps for children to see yourself as a reader as well. YouTube, like I had mentioned, I think it's wonderful as a publisher right now. publishers are giving access to teachers to read books online, which is wonderful because in the past it was against copyright law. So your children have access to hear stories online. I think it's great for children to hear stories, to see stories, and to read stories themselves. So it should be a combination of all of those things. Listening to those audiobooks in the car, wonderful. What does it do? It increases their vocabulary. When you read to your child, it increases their vocabulary. It reduces stress by 68%. Reading just 20 minutes a day, and you'll read 1,800,000 words per year. That's almost 2 million words per year. Friends, if you're out there listening to me, I know you're tired at night. I'm not saying we sit down and read for an hour. Some nights it's one book, and some nights if I'm, have a little more energy, it's 3 or 4 books. But it's that 20 minutes a day is really key. Children learn 4,000 to 12,000 words per year through reading. It is just foundational in making a difference in your child's life. If you read just one book a day to your child, they will have read 1,825 books by their 5th birthday. Every day counts, every book counts. And it's just so much fun to be able to select books for your child, to select those high interest books that you think they might read. Or again, if they're having a life situation and, for example, my son, we went through a period around the holidays where he was interrupting everyone in the family. And so I went online, I went to Google, and I started Googling picture books about interrupting. And we read this hilarious book about an interrupting chicken. And so every time he interrupted after that, I would say, interrupting chicken. And then he would remember the story, and we would both kind of giggle, and then he would correct his behavior. So, just being able to help indirectly teach some of these lessons that it goes in one ear, out the other when you're telling them, but if they can see a character in a story, it makes a difference. A diverse character in a story. Make sure you're choosing those books that, have children that look like our community, and so kids can see themselves within the pages. So that, my friends, is my program. You can take a picture of this and you will gain access to 101 books that I recommend for families. Again, you can get them at the library. Keep that basket of books in your family room. Make it accessible so you don't have to think about it. That's the organization I was talking about, is just Saturdays when you're grocery shopping, go ahead, sit down at your computer, sit on your phone, go to your library, select maybe 10 books, pick them up, stick them in that basket, and you have books to read before bedtime or in the morning, what have you. So if you have any questions, you can head over to the question box now. I know that's a lot, but remember, reading is foundational. You've got this. You can do this.
Wow.
I don't think we have any questions today.
That was a lot packed into a short amount of time, but thank you, Maria, for sharing such great information for us. I don't see questions at this time, but I had a couple pop into my head that I thought as a parent, maybe I might be wondering this. You had mentioned reading 20 minutes a day. Doesn't have to be an hour, doesn't have to be lengthy. It could be one book one night, and then another night, maybe you get a little extra time in. And then later mentioned reading to your child. And I know a lot of our families with younger students read to their children because their children don't yet have that skill wrapped up. But is it important for us as parents of, say, maybe a 4th grader or older to spend time reading to your children also? I mean, do they want to listen to me read as a parent to them as they get older? Is there a benefit?
Well, they may not. They may not want to listen to us. But it's important to check in because of vocabulary, because of comprehension. So for example, I know one of my children could read Harry Potter if I gave it to her, but she was young and it wasn't age appropriate for her. So was she understanding the words? Was she understanding the concept? Probably not. So you do want to check in with your child, give them a sticky note and say, hey, I see you're reading a new book tonight. If there's ever a word that you don't understand, why don't you write it down on a sticky note, and then we can talk about those words afterwards. A word like disappointment. well, that's a word that we talk about in our family, but a word that, a vocabulary word that they may not understand, they can come to you and then, you can clarify that with them. So the other thing with older children is you can kind of have a book club together. So let's say your son is reading a certain book. You can say, okay, tell me what chapters you read tonight. And when you go to bed, I'm going to read the same chapters and we can chat about it tomorrow. So you can do like book talks like that.
That's a fabulous idea. Thank you. We'll take that and use it at home. Hopefully our other families that watch this either in the replay or currently are going to be able to take some of those little tidbits as well. So thank you again so much for the great information. And we're going to remind folks really quickly now that if you want to email Maria to request a book, you're welcome to do that. And her address is maria@mariadismondy.com. So easy peasy there. And I'll just say on behalf of the Walled Lake Parenting Education Team and the Lakes Area Community Coalition, thank you again for spending your time with us this evening. As a reminder, our presentation has been recorded and will be available on the Walled Lake and the Lakes Area Community Coalition websites. And we hope that you'll join us again for our next Wellness Wednesday webinar. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks so much.